So joining us this evening to discuss how we can support our children to achieve their dreams, we have the founder of a podcast and YouTube channel called Dadhood, aiming to develop Muslim fathers through both conversation and education. It's a very warm welcome to none other than our very own Muhammad Shoaib. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Back on another Friday night with Aisha.
It's going.
We should change that to Friday night with Aisha,
I know. Don't give any ideas. So I'm just as busy as you, mashallah. Fascinating topic. So are there any guidelines that the Quran and Sunnah capture when talking about encouraging children to follow their dreams?
Yeah, well, there is a story with Yusuf alayhi salam and Yaqub, who is his father, which is exactly about a dream, a literal dream.
Literally.
Where Yusuf, at the beginning of the story of Yusuf, in the Surah Yusuf, he goes to his father Yaqub and he says, I've had this dream that, the sun and the moon and the stars, they're all prostrating to me. He's obviously going to his father because he's shocked having this type of dream, and he wants his father, who is a prophet, maybe his father has wisdom that can explain, what does this dream mean? And his father immediately, he says, okay, first of all, don't tell your brothers about this dream. So his father already knows there's probably something amazing is going to happen in Yusuf alayhi salam's life now. And interestingly, as a side note, it's quite interesting that Yaqub, the father, knows that about his sons. That means he's involved in their lives, right? He knows their personality, that some of his sons are good, some of them are not so good, and so he's advising him. So that tells us he is an involved father, right? But that's a side note.
No, it's a very valid point right there.
Exactly. But here we see that, okay, now Yaqub knows, the father knows, okay, my son is going to accomplish some big things here. So then he goes on to tell him, after warning him and giving some advice, he says that you're going to go and interpret dreams. Allah is going to give you the ability to do this. And he's going to fulfill this kind of pledge, or fulfill this type of ability and this promise that he wants to give you in the same way that he done it for Ibrahim and for Ishaq, meaning that he's letting him know you're from this lineage of these great prophets, these great men, and just as Allah kind of helped them and gave them abilities to be able to carry out a message, he's going to give you certain abilities and he's going to help you carry out this message. And he ends that whole advice by saying, surely Allah is the most knowing and the most wise. So he attributes all of that back to Allah. So here we can sort of break things down, right? Yeah. It's quite an amazing story. And to me, this is just the beginning of of the story of Yusuf. There's so much more that we can take from the whole story. But just from this interaction between son and father, we see that the father is supporting him. When the son comes and says, I have this dream, what does it mean? Does it mean I'm going to be doing this or that? Son, what it means is be careful, but you're gonna do great things. Not only that, stay motivated, because people who came before you, you're from that lineage, and Allah is going to support you how He supported them. And remember, Allah is all-knowing and all-wise, so trust in Him. So this is the father really encouraging his child, go ahead, chase your dreams, Allah is going to help you. And this comes from a literal dream as well.
Absolutely mind-blowing. Because also what I'm taking away from that is that how, as a parent's role is that you not only being supportive, but sharing your wisdom with your children, just saying that you do have life experience ahead of your children, and just forewarning them is a good idea, just to watch yourself. But I think that was fantastic to also then hear in the Quran the complete journey of Yusuf alayhi salam, his dreams coming true.
They're coming true, exactly.
And they're coming true, and to see that journey, and then the reconnection with Yusuf alayhi salam and with his father. And it was just, it's absolutely such a good example. I've learned so much on this show. It's unbelievable. How and why is it so important to be their role model as a parent, of course, and their guide?
Yeah, I mean, again, we can go back to the story to see this. Why does Yusuf go to his father, Yaqub? Clearly because he sees that his father is somebody that is righteous, somebody who can give him information, somebody who has wisdom. So he looks up to him like a role model, and he finds solace in asking him and asking his opinion about things. So if we want to make sure we're having a bond between us as parents and our children, we need to make sure that we are being role models for them, that they see us in that positive light, so that we can kind of continue having a bond with them from when they're young up until when they're much older as well.
Yeah. I mean, what I sometimes come across is how parents, they want one thing for their children,
Yeah.
but the children want something else. Like, how do you kind of overcome that?
Yeah, so of course, as parents, we have more experience than our children living in this life, and so we have an idea of how our children should kind of live out their lives. We have this kind of rough plan that, okay, I hope my child does this and does this, and this is coming from a genuine care to make sure that, okay, we have experience, we know what are good things in this world, what are bad things in this world, and we want to make sure we're taking them towards the good and we're keeping them away from the bad. So it comes from a good place, but we also need to make sure that as parents, we're not forcing our own likes and dislikes onto our children. So yes, we're keeping them safe, we're telling them that these are the boundaries, but within the boundaries, we let them explore. And this is the same way how Allah treats us as human beings. He hasn't created us as robots. He hasn't created us to, that he's programmed us. He's given us free will. But what did he do with that free will? He gave us a sharia, he gave us guidance, and that's our boundaries. And within those boundaries, he said, okay, you choose what you need to do as long as you stay within those boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, where you have trouble is like, oh, I never became a lawyer, but I want my child to become a lawyer. I think that type of force, like forcing the child to live out your dreams is not realistic, and especially in a world where the world that we're living today was so different to how it was before. But just such an interesting subject. What if they don't want to do what they want to do in life is quite dangerous for them?
Yeah.
But they're quite adamant.
They're quite adamant for it. Yeah. I mean, so number one is that we need to make sure that with our bond with our children, they've already view us as somebody that they can trust. And we mentioned this before about how Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail, when Ibrahim comes with something that looks dangerous to Ismail, this is the other way around, but Ismail says, I trust you, let's go ahead and let's do this. The story of the sacrifice. So even if you look at the other way around, what it was a trust between the child and the parent. So we need to make sure that our children trust us. So when we come to them, we tell them, look, this is dangerous. This is something which is not going to be good for you, that they actually come and they understand that. If they're still going to go ahead and do this, then we make sure that we are allowing them to do things carefully then. So that, you know, we're not, we want to hold them back from certain things that are dangerous. But if they're going to go ahead and do that anyway, then we make sure they're doing it carefully. So, you know, a simple example of this could be like, you know, a little toddler is going to jump off and jump onto the floor from a big height. Okay, and he keeps doing it, you keep telling him no. Okay, then he's going to continue to do it, you support him in it then. You make sure you look out, you put things in the right place to make sure that when he gets down, he doesn't hurt himself. And then he realizes, actually, do you know what, that probably wasn't a good idea and I'll stop doing it now.
God. No, Mohammed Shoaib, it's absolutely amazing. Like, I've learned so much, and you know, we're already out of time, and I know this we could go on. So you definitely have to come back, and I'd love to hear more tips and tricks and all sorts from you. So Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much.